6.
Here, I got a suspicious-looking cell over here. Got a pretty good signature on it. I think I'm picking up a hook echo. Maybe we ought to go with a warning. State warning point, Minneapolis weather.
The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning.
About 2 miles northeast of the first landfall reporting. Moving northeast at about 30 miles an hour.
Few of nature's spectacles are as terrifying and intriguing as the swirling vortex of wind called a tornado. My name is Jim Campbell. I'm the meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service office at the Twin Cities International Airport. With me today are meteorologists from each of the commercial television stations in the Twin Cities. And we're going to talk tornado, how they form, how often they strike, and what we do at the National Weather Service and at our area's television stations to warn you about severe weather. Let me introduce the panel. Mike Fairborn is Chief Meteorologist at WCCO Television, Channel 4. Joe Dandria, Chief Meteorologist at KMSP, Channel 9. Dave Dahl is with KSTP. He's their Chief Meteorologist, Channel 5. And Paul Douglas from KARE Television, Channel 11, also the Chief Meteorologist. A successful tornado warning system in any community has 4 parts. The issuance of the warning, which is the responsibility of the National Weather Service. The broadcast of that information by the local media, public safety agencies that can activate warning systems and respond to the emergency, and a spotter network to keep track of the changing situation on the ground. Let's start with some facts.
Since 1950, there have been more than 650 tornadoes in Minnesota. These storms have killed more than 80 people, injured over 1,600, and caused hundreds of millions of dollars in property damage.
Large tornadoes with winds of 300 miles an hour or more have occurred in Minnesota in the past and are likely to strike again. The tornado that swept through Fridley in May 1965 killed 14 people, leaving behind $57 million in damage.
Large tornado outbreaks can occur anywhere, including Minnesota, with the right combination of meteorological conditions. For example, in May of 1985, killer tornadoes swept through parts of Pennsylvania and northeastern Ohio, killing 74 people, injuring several hundred, and causing millions of dollars in damage. That area had never experienced that magnitude of severe weather before.
In Minnesota and western Wisconsin each year, we have an average of 17 tornadoes. Our normal tornado season runs from May through July, with June the most active month.
Wind speeds in tornadoes vary from 100 to 300 miles an hour. The width of their paths can vary also from a few feet to more than a mile, and they may touch the ground for a few yards or more than 100 miles.
The speed at which tornadoes travel can vary too. They can stay nearly stationary or move at 70 miles an hour.
In Minnesota, the average tornado is about 1/8 of a mile wide, stays on the ground for about 10 minutes, tracks about 5 to 6 miles, and moves forward at the rate of about 35 miles an hour.
Storms in the upper Midwest can also generate strong squall lines with straight-line winds called downbursts. These winds, which can exceed 100 miles an hour, are destructive too.
There are 2 important terms that the Weather Service uses when alerting people to the threat of severe weather. A watch means tornadoes and severe thunderstorms are possible. You should remain alert because threatening weather may develop. A warning means that a tornado or severe thunderstorm is occurring right now. A severe thunderstorm has winds of 58 miles an hour or more and or hail 3/4 of an inch in diameter or larger. In the Twin Cities, we also issue a very severe thunderstorm warning when winds exceed 75 miles an hour.
For 74 years, it was the place to meet at the fair. To people of all ages, it's been a favorite ride, a fantasy ride. Now the State Fair Carousel needs your help to get running again and to keep running for generations to come. Send your favorite photos and stories of Minnesota's merry-go-round, along with a donation to the Our Fair Carousel Fund. Make sure our children can enjoy the carousel just as we did.
On the next Cosby Show, say hello to a good buy.
Does this woman lying on the hood come with the cartridge? Why are you dressed like that? I'm dressed like this because when you go in to negotiate, you can't go in looking like you have a lot of money.
May I ask what you do for a living?
Yes, I work.
Cliff's deal's a steal. Dr. Huxtable! Till somebody squeals.
Monday at 4 on TV 11.
Wake up to the world on Sunday Today, television's weekly news magazine. Garrick Utley and Maria Shriver with the newsmakers behind the headlines. The personalities who shape your world.
We have nothing against the Arabs.
And the issues that affect your life. They go one-on-one with presidents and kings, agitators and dictators. Go where it's happening.
In Jerusalem.
Alberta, Canada.
From Moscow.
On Sunday Today.
Who's news? What's up? When it happens. Where it's going. Why it's hot. See it now, USA Today on TV, and see it from a different angle.
USA Today, weeknights at 6:30 on TV 11.
But how does the National Weather Service generate a watch, and then, if necessary, a warning? Each of the stations has prepared a story about how the warning system works.
Tornado watches are issued when there is a potential for tornadoes and other severe weather. The National Severe Storms Forecast Center in Kansas City, Missouri is responsible for issuing tornado watches for the continental United States. The meteorologists there monitor the weather throughout the country to determine severe weather threat areas. Computer models, satellite pictures, upper air data, and surface weather observations are used to pinpoint the areas where tornadoes and other severe weather are most likely to develop. Once a risk area is determined and thunderstorms are developing or appear imminent, a watch box is drawn up. The amount of instability in the atmosphere, the time of year, and even the time of day are factors that determine whether a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch will be issued. The more potent the situation, the more likely the forecast center will issue a tornado watch. Once the watch is issued, pertinent information is sent out on state weather wires and on weather radio.
Broadcasting from the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota.
TV and radio stations then broadcast the watch information to the public. If a tornado watch is issued for your area, you should keep in mind that a watch means that conditions are ripe for tornadoes and other severe weather to develop in and close to the watch area. You should go about your normal activities, but be prepared to take cover if tornadoes develop or a warning is issued. The National Severe Storms Forecast Center has a good track record. Each year they issue about 500 watch boxes across the country. About 85% of those boxes have some severe weather reported within their boundaries. Studies also show that more than 90% of violent tornadoes and 80% of all tornado fatalities occur in areas covered by watch boxes.
Once a watch has been issued by the National Severe Storms Forecast Center in Kansas City, the local office of the National Weather Service takes over. They are now responsible for issuing warnings as severe weather begins to occur. The Twin Cities National Weather Service office is responsible for 23 counties in Minnesota and Wisconsin. They use a conventional radar, a Doppler radar, and spotter reports to confirm the presence of actual severe weather. However, many times inaccurate or false reports have to be handled and weeded out.
National Weather Service. How did you get this number, please? Now, this is only for spotter reports. You say you've got a what? A bugle cloud.
When severe weather is confirmed by radar, amateur radio, or law enforcement personnel, a warning is issued.
Okay, see, now you got to confirm spotter. Let's even forget the severe thunderstorm. Tornado warning for cover.
The next critical part of the process is to disseminate the warning. The TV media is notified by a hotline telephone so that all the Twin Cities viewers can receive the warning quickly.
Okay, this is the National Weather Service. Channel 9? Okay, Channel 11? Okay, it's 4 there? Channel 4? Okay, and Channel 5?
The warning is then passed along to local emergency managers on a radio system called point-to-point and the national warning system called NAWAS, so that sirens can be sounded for the affected counties. NOAA Weather Radio is a National Weather Service radio system which broadcasts weather information 24 hours a day with particular emphasis on hazardous or severe weather.
This is the National Weather Service in Minneapolis. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning in effect until 2:30 p.m. this afternoon.
Warnings are also put out on the Weather Wire, which is a teletype system which involves mainly the media and emergency managing officials.
This is KB0CIE. I'm at 28th Avenue and 62nd Street. I'm looking.
Whenever the National Weather Service issues a tornado watch, mobile amateur radio operators known as spotters swing into action. Like the 400 other trained volunteers in the Twin Cities Skywarn system, Dave Floyd is part of a communication network that acts as the outdoor eyes of the Weather Service during severe weather.
Reporting a large wall cloud with definite rotation.
The spotter's call goes to the Emergency Operations Center in Bloomington. There, other radio operators take the call, plot the location of the possible tornado on a map, and correlate it with other calls they might be getting. If their analysis warrants it, they call the Weather Service with a confirmed sighting.
We'll sign up in Connie, go ahead.
Yes, the National Weather Service. Radar indicated a severe thunderstorm between Medicine Lake and Deep Haven.
When the Weather Service issues a tornado warning, it calls the sheriff's dispatch office in each county to sound the sirens that will warn people in the threatened area. In recent years, a zone map of the Twin Cities has been developed by the National Weather Service and the Metro Emergency Management Association, the organization of all the emergency management officials in the metro area. With this system, public safety officials can now warn smaller portions of each county so that people aren't warned about events that are too far away. Now, when the siren sounds, you can be assured that the danger of a tornado is not far away.
Oklahoma. It's home to more tornadoes per square mile than any other place on Earth. It's also home to the National Severe Storms Laboratory, where scientists are studying mesocyclones, huge counterclockwise rotating updrafts that from a distance resemble monstrous mushroom clouds. NSSL researchers have discovered that nearly 50% of these thunderstorms spinning out of control go on to spawn large hail, damaging winds, or a wall cloud, a dark swirling bulge at the tail end of a severe thunderstorm. It's here that a tornado is most likely to touch down. This 30-foot high-powered Doppler radar is constantly scanning the skies, searching for trouble.
Just coming out of the Texas Panhandle into western Oklahoma.
Using Doppler, which picks up rotating thunderstorms, meteorologists get on the two-way radios and guide specially equipped storm chasers to the most threatening mesocyclones. High-tech vans videotape the storm, measuring everything from lightning to wind speeds.
This has got a face to the north. Face to the north.
This drum is actually a portable weather instrument, nicknamed Toto, which scientists hope to drop in the direct path of a tornado. And about 10% of the time, the tornado chasers get lucky.
Large funnel or possible tornado down directly south, moving across us slightly north-northwest. Watch your safety factor here.
NSSL, meteorologists truly on the cutting edge of tornado research.
Little things mean a lot in our home. That's why a Culligan drinking water system is so helpful, providing clean, clear water for drinking, cooking, and ice cubes. But the big reason a Culligan drinking water system's under our kitchen sink is peace of mind for our growing family. Culligan's H82 is the first and only unit listed by the National Sanitation Foundation to satisfactorily reduce these contaminants from our home's drinking water, even sodium and chlorine. Call your Culligan man. He'll show you how a Culligan drinking water system can deliver gallons of fresh-tasting water into your home for just pennies a day. Then if you decide to purchase or rent a Culligan drinking water system with free electronic water quality monitor for your home or apartment, you'll receive a $50 discount. Learn how the Culligan drinking water system has become the sign of good taste and water quality in kitchens everywhere. Don't delay. Call your Culligan man now.
Disney Fever covers the globe.
Disney Fever Sunday night. When you wish upon
Sundays on NBC.
Charles is the kind of young man that we can entrust the Navy's future to.
Having done such a good job in the Navy, he will be a good role model for the students that we have here in school.
He represents Washington County, North Carolina.
Charles Sawyer, just one of the people who make the United States Navy your Navy.
Welcome to Yellowstone. You're entering the world's first national park.
But the park is not the same after last summer's devastating fire. Fires changed in hours what had taken years to grow. Others see a natural order. Take a closer look at nature healing itself. Sunday at 10 on News 11.
When scientific instruments like radar at the National Weather Service or the trained volunteers of the Emergency Skywarn System spot a tornado, we have to get the word out. In the Twin Cities, each of the commercial television stations cooperates with the Weather Service to broadcast the information.
Here at Weather Center 4, we usually get tornado warnings from the National Weather Service over the weather wire.
Yeah, what do you got?
Like the other television and radio stations in the market, we interrupt programming to alert our viewers to the imminent danger. Our graphic slides indicate whether the warning does or does not include the metropolitan area.
But this thunderstorm cell down here now over Dakota County has produced a tornado.
Once we show just where the storm is on live radar and alert people in the path to take appropriate action, we return to our warning graphic. Then, when our regularly scheduled programs resume, we insert a graphic crawl at the bottom of the screen to make sure that as many people as possible are warned. Once the storm is in progress, we continue to monitor it on our own instruments, and we make sure that our news department is aware of any changes as they develop.
At Channel 11, normal programming is interrupted when severe thunderstorms threaten the Twin Cities metro area with large hail, damaging winds, or tornadoes. Doppler radar is just one tool used to track tornadic thunderstorms. On conventional radar, which displays areas of heavy rain and hail, tornadoes usually appear as hooks, or roughly the letter 6, usually found at the tail end of a severe thunderstorm. On this particular day, tornado reports from radar and Skywarn spotters were confirmed by live video from our News 11 helicopter, Sky 11. On their way to another story, pilot Max Mesmer and photographer Tom Empey literally stumbled upon a tornado forming right over Brooklyn Park.
This is spectacular. The debris is drifting my way.
Now, it must be emphasized that flying in the vicinity of a tornado is extremely dangerous due to the risk of severe turbulence and debris nearby. This should not be attempted by a private pilot with a home movie camera. On Channel 9, a tornado warning takes top priority to any scheduled programming. First, a beep tone and warning visual are broadcast indicating whether the warning includes the Twin Cities or not. Then we go live to the newsroom to give specifics on the warning and why it was issued.
Anoka County. At 6:30, the Anoka County Sheriff reported a tornado on the ground about 5 miles northeast of Anoka, moving northeastward at about 30 miles per hour.
Next, we look at the live National Weather Service radar to help the public visualize where the area of greatest concern is.
People in Anoka County, especially those living between the city of Anoka and Andover, should take cover immediately. Go to the center of the lowest floor of your house, and if possible, get under something sturdy like a table.
Finally, we return to the newsroom for a repeat and then back to the warning visual and beep tone. This will always be followed up with a crawl across the bottom of the screen as soon as possible.
On Channel 5, regular programming would first be interrupted by a series of tones. That would then be followed by a graphic explaining the type of warning. In this case, it's a tornado warning, which does include the Twin Cities metro area. The meteorologist on duty would then explain where the severe weather was occurring, which direction it was moving, and the communities which are in the path of that storm. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning. It's out until 7:30 tonight for northern Hennepin and southern Anoka County. Please stay tuned for further updates. When regular programming resumes, the viewers are kept up to date on the latest information with statements at the bottom of the screen. And if the situation warrants, another program interruption would then follow.
In addition to the television stations, as we learned earlier, public safety organizations in the watch and warning areas are notified.
Even if every part of our community's warning system is functioning, each individual holds the key to surviving the wrath of a tornado, and knowing a few safety rules might mean the difference between life and death.
When you think you're in immediate danger at home, get to the basement. Under the stairs is the safest place to be, or the lowest floor in your house, in the smallest room, a bathroom or closet that is farthest away from broken flying window glass.
If you're away from home, at school, or at a shopping center, follow the same rules. Buildings with large roof spans are very vulnerable during a tornado. Go to the lowest floor and find the smallest, most interior room, a bathroom or a designated shelter area.
If you're outside, on foot or in your car, don't try to outrun a tornado. Their speed and direction are erratic. Get out of the car and seek shelter on low-lying ground.
Wow! Fasten your seatbelts. To the moon, Nancy! And take off with DC Follies.
I'd have the body of a 23-year-old.
I can see it now.
His name is Robert.
The show where comedy is serious business.
They say hard work never killed anyone, but why take the chance?
So join Fred Willard and the crazy Croft Puppet on DC Follies.
Sundays at 11:35 on TV 11.
Do you read with your kids?
No, we barely have time for dinner.
Reading out loud makes me feel silly.
Kids these days, all they want to do is play video games. Oh, he isn't old enough. Daycare does it anyway.
I don't like to read myself, much less read to my kid.
You bet we do. You know, it's the best part of our day.
There's no excuse not to read. Take the pledge to read with a child 15 minutes every day. Pledge forms at Tom Thumb stores and your local library.
Where? When? Who? What? We've got it covered in the KARE 11 Twin Cities Directory. Available at hundreds of locations, including metro area Tom Thumb stores. Or for an $11 home subscription, call 375-1009.
Well, before we finish up, maybe we should talk a little bit about some of the myths that we've got about tornadoes. And of course, one good one is people going to the southwest corner of the basement. That's been around for a long time.
That's right. I think we all grew up thinking that the southwest corner, Jim, is the safest place to be. They've done research, and statistically, the safest place is under your stairs in the basement, under a heavy bench, a table. I think statistically, you have a 99.8% chance of walking away from even the most severe twister. You may be scratched up, bruised, but you'll live to tell your kids about it. So under the stairs is technically the safest place to be. There's a long list of myths. Hundreds of myths when it comes to tornadoes. I know one of the myths we grew up with is open up your windows if you have time to equalize the pressure in your house. But they now say, no, that's not the case.
That's right. You know, what I tell people is, yeah, if you could get your window open, you might save a little bit of pressure damage. If the tornado comes right over the top of your house, it's not going to make any difference whether the windows are open or not. It's going to open up what it wants to open up. But it's just not worth the risk that you run standing in front of that window to open it a few inches for the threat of the broken and flying glass. It's not worth an eyesight to save a roof blowing off. Let the insurance company sort that out.
And that's the leading thing that we always say to everyone is one of the things, not only get down to the lowest floor, but always stay away from windows, stay away from glass, even mirrors in a bathroom. They've been known to break and fall off the wall and the flying glass and debris. Hallways in schools, we tell students to always crouch down, protect their head, because even through the hallways of schools, that's an interior portion, which is the safest place to be. However, there will be a lot of flying debris, so they have to make sure that they protect themselves from that.
Yeah, and a lot of people get hurt. You know, our statistics show that from about the waist up is where the debris hits you, and if you protect that part of your body, then you're likely to survive a tornado.
So the danger is not from being sucked up into the twister like the romanticized version of The Wizard of Oz would have you believe, but it's being hit by a little eraser-sized piece of debris traveling at 200 miles an hour. That's what causes the problems. All sorts of misconceptions.
I think, you know, a lot of kids are left at home alone more nowadays, too, than there have been in the past. And I think that it's important for them to know really what the safest place is in their home or where they live. And for someone to take the time to walk their kid through and say, look, here's where you go downstairs, here's the stairway we want you to go to when the sirens sound, or here's the workbench you need to get under, and have a little treat for them down there, certainly a radio. Some of the emergency items you ought to have down there, a flashlight, a radio so that you can hear what's going on and when the warnings are over. And we usually put a little snack down there for our kids to lure them down to the basement rather than out into the outside, you know, when the sirens go off. So there's some granola bars or a can of pop or something there.
Of course, there are homes without basements, and of course we're talking about mobile homes right now. And there is no safe place in a mobile home. During a tornado, you should get out of the home and go to a safe shelter. You know, we hear a lot about mobile home parks being hit. Some people even, there's even a myth that they think that tornadoes kind of home in on the mobile home parks. When they really don't. The mobile home is most vulnerable to any kind of damaging thunderstorm wind.
Yeah.
50%, I think 50% of all recent fatalities in Minnesota have been from people in mobile homes who refuse to go to a designated shelter. But now I guess there's a law on the books.
Yeah,
is that right, Dave?
Supposedly there is a designated shelter area in all of our state mobile home parks, where most of our mobile homes are found here in Minnesota, and there should be a shelter area large enough to handle all of the people in those mobile homes. So get out of your mobile home, even if you don't have a shelter area, lie in a low-lying ditch somewhere to protect yourself.
Well, so one thing you shouldn't do, though, is get in your car and drive away from a mobile home.
When the sirens sound, though, watch and see what happens at a shopping center. Most people will head for the doors and try to get out to their cars, and that's what they don't want to do. Why?
Oh, because a car is an extremely dangerous place to be. Tornadoes can pick up mobile homes. We have lots of cases of that happening. And if you go back to Wichita Falls in '79, where a major tornado went through the city, most of the people were killed getting in their cars and trying to drive away. So you should do anything but get in your car.
And tornadoes can hit downtown. Statistically, it's a matter of time before downtown Minneapolis or St. Paul is hit. Again, there's that myth that somehow they like to avoid the downtowns. And there is a local tornado alley, too. I guess statistically, the odds are a little greater north and west of the Twin Cities.
Right, that's from the northern part of Lake Minnetonka all the way up through the northern part of Hennepin County and into Anoka County. That is where most of our tornadoes have occurred, and that, some people say, that is caused by the heat island deflecting some of that energy up to the north and west side, because most of our tornadoes do occur with the strong southeast wind first.
But if you are caught outdoors, a low-lying area, a ditch, a ravine, watch out for the possibility of flooding. You don't want to do that. But even if you're dressed the way we are, if a tornado's headed at you and you're outside, you only have one choice.
That's right. Get in the low area. That's really important.
Obviously, the first choice would be any kind of a shelter, any kind of a building, an office, a gas station. If nothing is available, then obviously you go into a ditch. Do what you have to do.
And it's important that the school children, too, practice those drills each year so that they know what to do in the schools, because I've always been concerned about a major tornado hitting a school. Well, I'd like to thank all of you for being here. I think it's a real pleasure to have all the meteorologists from the 4 television stations here, and we have a unique relationship with all of you, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that. In most media markets, the competition between stations is so intense that close working relationships with the National Weather Service fall by the wayside. The fact that these gentlemen are here is a testimonial to their commitment to public safety. I believe that because of their concern and the support of their station managements, we have a very good warning program in the Twin Cities. Thank you all again for coming. I appreciate it. Keep your eye on the sky during severe weather season.